My name is Carly Molinex, and this is my honors mentorship experience student teaching. So first off, my essential question. So the question that I was researching the entire year when I've been working with Ms. Younghouse is, why is social and emotional learning important? And as school changes, as we evolve with technology and how we connect socially and emotionally, there's always a need for new types of learning and new types of ways to teach our students. Firstly, a little bit about me. So I'm Carly, I'm a senior at North Forsyth High School. I plan to go to UGA next fall and study English or English education, I'm not really sure yet. I love reading, writing, and journalism. I love to tutor and teach other students, and actually the reason I started doing teaching as my honors mentorship activity is because a lot of my classmates, I would help them with their essays, and they would say, wow, you're a really good teacher, I've never understood how to write essays before until you helped me out, and that's kind of where I found my passion. So my mentorship is I'm working with Ms. Jessica Younghouse in her AP Lang 6th period. And I come in about 4 days a week, sometimes less, sometimes more. I help with lesson planning, taking attendance, teaching vocabulary, helping teach lessons, making PowerPoints and handouts for the class, and answering any questions that students may have about the material they're learning. My future. All right, as I said, I'm going to go to UGA in the fall. This mentorship has certainly helped me learn a little bit more about the field of teaching, and if I really want to do that and how I want to be a teacher in the future and maybe what grade I want to teach. So it's been a great experience. And here's just some pictures. So that's me and my mentor, Ms. Younghouse, with some trophies that she received. And this is me going over the themes of the Great Gatsby with the class. And this is me going over daily vocab with the class. Now my research. So my essential question, why is social and emotional learning important? I knew a little bit about it, but I know that I needed to find out why is it such an important topic, like why are people talking about it, how does it need to be done, how does it need to be looked at. So what I know that social and emotional learning is being attentive to all students and needs, and in short, listening to them. It also means recognizing warning signs with students, because if students are emotionally stable and comfortable with their peers, they will perform better in school. Other than the basics, I do not know much about the importance of social and emotional learning. Luckily, there are many research avenues. This was when I first started to learn about social and emotional learning. So I created this PowerPoint at the very beginning of my study, and then this is my search. So firstly, I interviewed Ms. Younghouse, and in her interview she talked a little bit about social emotional learning and what it is, and she explained it a little bit more to me so I could understand. And she went over her opinion on why social emotional learning is attainable for teachers now. So there's a little bit about that. How can educators help their students more? She says that they can develop a strong rapport, be supportive, and notice when they are acting different or sad, which is really important, and that's a main part of the emotional aspect of social emotional learning. And then here's some just graphics from the web that I pulled. So the main reason why you want to focus on the emotional aspect is because youth suicide has become like a really big problem. As you can see, suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States for young people. 2.8 million teens experience a depressive episode. And there's some more about youth suicide. And this is just a little bit about SEL. It's about SEL is part of our homes and communities, our schools, our classrooms, and it involves social awareness, relationship skills, responsible decision making, self-awareness, and self-management. And those are just some of the artwork that I've pulled because I think they're the most important as far as social and emotional learning. And then I wanted to go a little bit deeper. So how do you figure out what students need other than asking them? So I did an anonymous survey of the class that I'm mentoring in of about 35-ish students. And these are just some of their anonymous quotes that they put at the bottom of their survey. So some help us emotionally, but education is their #1 priority, so there isn't really enough time. And that's what educators are arguing, is they don't have enough time to worry about students' needs when they're trying to teach these standards in this curriculum. And then these are just some statistics I grabbed from the survey. So 97% of students in the study feel as if being more emotionally stable would improve the quality of their schoolwork. So almost every student wants to improve their emotional standing so that it can improve their schoolwork. That's why it's important to infiltrate social emotional learning into education, so that ultimately the education program will improve. And what I discovered. Throughout my search, I found that social emotional learning is very important, but it's hard to define and structure in a learning environment. Some professionals argue that there is no time for social emotional learning in an active academic environment, but students state that being more emotionally stable would improve the quality of their schoolwork. On the social aspect, I've discovered that as we become more technologically connected, we also become more disconnected as people. The simple act of having students work in groups more often on activities where they have to communicate can improve the social connection. Teachers and faculty need to make connections with their students and watch for warning signs that a student needs help. By implementing a safe place for students, a set time for students to focus on themselves, and giving them social outlets, schools can improve the well-being of their students and eventually improve students' academic achievement. So that's my research portion. I also, throughout this project, did a little bit more research as far as my annotated bibliographies of 3 education professionals. So this is over Professor Maurice Elias, and his main idea is the idea of mindfulness, and that's something that they want to pull into social emotional learning, is to be mindful of your surroundings, yourself, and your students. And that's mainly what he's about. And then down here, this is the Portland State University. They talked about the lasting impacts of social emotional learning, saying students who receive social emotional learning interventions early and throughout their learning careers demonstrate impressive and measurable benefits later on in life. So even though we think we don't have enough time for it now, it's important to implement it for the future. And then lastly, this is Professor Roger Weisenberg. He talks about why social and emotional learning is essential. His relationship skills help students establish and maintain healthy and rewarding relationships, and to act in accordance with social norms. These skills involve communicating clearly, listening actively, cooperating, resisting inappropriate social pressure, negotiating conflict constructively, and seeking help when it's needed. And that's what we want, is we want our students to seek help when they need help. We don't want it to be too far gone. And the last part of my presentation is my blog. So I usually did like a weekly blog throughout the portion of my time mentoring. I would just say like a paragraph per week, and I would just talk about what was going on. This is about partnering education, as I was in the education field. I was talking about how this has improved my education on teaching, and how what teachers are really going through, and how some of the background of education is. This is again my interview from earlier in the year with Ms. Younghouse. Some more on social intelligence of how to be in a workforce. So that is about it. And that is all I have. Do you guys have any questions? No? All right, thank you. I'm Carly Molinax.